Okay, so now summer's drawn to a close, nights are starting to cool down, and for warm season grass, you've got two options. You can either start to think about giving it a feed before it goes to bed for winter, or you can do what Ben here's going to do today, and we're going to do a rye oversow. Now, in times gone by, I've done one at home. Now this year, I've decided I'm not going to do a ryegrass oversow. I just want to see how the Tiftuf compares to the Santa Ana through a upper hunter winter. But Ben is going to undertake a rye oversow for the first time, so I thought I'd come along, give him a bit of a hand, and just take him through the steps and bring you guys along for the journey. We've just marked out your sprinklers there now.
Yep.
What sort of grass you got here, mate?
Tiftuf.
Right, so you've had Tiftuf for how long have you had it for?
Nearly 2 years.
2 years. How have you found it so far?
It's good, and it holds colour out in the front lawn. Well, cutting about 8 to 10 mil.
So your normal height of cut is 8 to 10 mils in the summer.
Yep.
But this year you've decided you want to try rye just for a bit of that winter theatrical effect.
Yeah, and just see what difference oversowing the Tiftuf down this lower Hunter Valley does.
Yep, sweet. So as I said, I'm going to give Ben a hand here today to do it because Ben's not done it before, but he's keen as to give it a go.
Yep.
So as I said, we marked out sprinklers. So the next thing is we're going to rip through here with the scarifier. Yep. So we'll rip. What we need to do, guys, we need to get down low. We need to pull out a lot of this material. Now, the only thing that Ben's done so far is you have actually put down PGR.
Yeah, I put 20 mil down.
So he went 20 mils per 100 square metres
so that's about
on Tuesday. So what's
4
today?
days ago.
About 4 days. So that's good. That should put this grass to bed now for winter.
Yep.
And that's what we need to do. So we need to put it to bed, put it to sleep. We're going to put down the ryegrass seed today, and it'll be the dominant grass through winter. And then in the springtime, we'll spray it out, or you'll spray it out with some tribute.
Yep.
And the Tiftuf should push back through. Okay, so step one, we need to start to remove or thin out this canopy. So going to use a scarifier. So we've got the trusty Scott Bonner here. Ben's about to jump behind it. First time behind this?
Yeah.
You've got a different one at the moment, but
yeah,
we're going to go with this one. Ben wants to have a bit of play with this. So we'll get him started, and we'll check back in a minute. So as Ben is starting to do the scarifying behind me, I'm actually pretty impressed. So often people talk about Tiftuf being really thatchy and really scalpy. I actually would have expected to see a little bit more thatch come out of this than what we got. So pretty happy with how that's looking. We will still go over it 2 times. Then we'll bring out the little Victor Scalpy mow and we'll go down lower. But so far, we're looking pretty good. And Ben's thatch levels are right on point, so well done, mate. Right, mate, so what do you think of the Scott Bonner 46?
Pretty amazing. It makes the job easier.
It does make it easier. Now look guys, if you haven't got one of yourself and you want to do this, you can hire similar like machines at a hire store or something along the lines of. As I said just before, we need to be able to thin out some of this canopy. We're going to pick it up now with the catcher mower, then we're going to come through and shave it right down with a really low height of cut mow. Now, the reason behind that is we need to get down to the soil level, so the seed has good contact with that soil. So that's the reason we're actually removing out what's here now, and that's why we're taking it down to dirt.
Yep.
So we'll get behind these push mowers here now, and we'll collect up all this stuff up, and then we'll go through and take it down another level again. Okay, so that cleaned up really quickly. It's remarkable how much quicker things are when there's
2 miles.
2 people going on. Has anyone else in the area done rye before?
No.
No one's done it before. So these guys are going to be in for a bit of a surprise, I think. A good surprise once this starts to kick on a bit. But we'll get on with it now. So now we've got to take away the last of this green grass. So say goodbye to your Tiftuf for this side of Winter Ben. We'll drop our little Scalpy mower down. We'll probably try setting number 2 first. We might zip it over at number 2, then come back and zip over it again at number 1. So if you're ready to say goodbye to your lawn, mate.
I suppose I am now. PGR's down.
PGR's down. I mean, we can stop here if you want, but let's
I may as well continue.
Let's continue.
Yeah.
Well, mate, that's certainly changed the landscape a little bit.
And it's a bit barren now.
It is a little bit barren, but we'll get this cleaned up, and once we've got this cleaned up, we can move on to a bit of top dressing and a bit of seeding.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look, we'll clean this up. What's your thoughts, mate? What are you thinking at this point in time?
Hopefully it grows.
Hopefully.
We're doing the right thing, and there's a fair bit of clippings when we've scalped it back.
Yep.
For after the growing season and the management I've done.
No, you've done well, mate. You have done well. So we'll hook in now. We'll get this cleaned up, which will give us a nice clean surface to start putting down our sand and our seed and moving on from there. We've got down to what we want to see. We've opened up the canopy of the Tiftuf. It's now it's gone. You won't see it now for 6 months. Sad?
A little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit sad.
Don't worry, the best is yet to come.
Is gone.
I reckon there'll be cars doing the double pass here in a month or so. So now what we're going to do now is, we're going to chuck out the sand. So the reason I'm not putting seed straight down here is if we put seed down, this is just the way I do things. It's not a hard and fast rule, it's just the way I do things. If we put seed down now, then we top dress over the top of that. And then once we start leveling it in with a level on, we're going to run the risk of potentially moving seed around and not getting an even distribution. So what I've normally done in the past, and I've had good success by doing this, is we're going to top dress now, then we're going to rub it in, then we're going to get a rake and lightly rake through it, put the seed down, rake over it again, and then run the roller over it. And that, for the way I do it, seems to work pretty well. So you happy to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
You reckon I've got enough sand here, Brent?
I reckon you might. We're only doing this 1 yard, aren't we?
Yeah.
I was a bit worried you might be doing someone else's with all that sand.
I'll have enough for springtime, Renner.
So we're going to give the master top dresser a go here today, and this is a more coarse sand than what I use at home. So being further down the valley here today, down in Maitland area, Ben gets a different sort of a sand, which is got a little bit more coarse material in it, but it seems to go through this top dresser really, really well. So we're about halfway through now with our top dressing, and this is the first time you've seen one of these in the flesh, let alone used it.
Yeah.
What's your first impressions, mate?
No, just easier than the wheelbarrow and the old shovel of loading up and wheeling it there and spreading out. You're not really breaking into a sweat.
It is, and it goes pretty quick, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. So we're now, what, halfway through, and it's actually made top dressing quite a enjoyable experience. Yeah. So we'll get the last of this out. We'll let it dry because it is a bit damp, this sand. It is a bit damp.
But all that rain.
This heavier sand that we're using today is going through this machine and much better than the stuff I use at home. So we'll probably have to leave this dry out a little bit before we can rub it in. It might be a good opportunity to go and have some lunch when we're done this.
Yeah.
Cool. Time to seed. Now you would have just saw there, Ben's rubbed in the sand's dried off, it's rubbed in really, really well, and I've just came along and raked it just to put, I guess you could say, some farrows into the ground here, and then it's now time to seed. Now you can do it a couple of different ways. You can use one of these, a sort of a broadcast spreader that throws it out, but generally I prefer to use a drop spreader, so basically where you go is where the seed ends up, so it's not spraying into garden beds or doing anything like that. That's really just going to be a pain in the bum going forward. So the ryegrass that we're going with is the perennial ryegrass. It's one of the ones that Ben's been using on and off throughout the years, and it's the one that I've actually been using myself. In fact, this bag was the last of mine from home. I'll put up on the screen the exact variety, but just trying to remember it here myself. Yeah, 4660, so SR 4660 perennial ryegrass. So once we put this out, we'll rake it back through again, and we'll chuck out some fertiliser, and then we'll talk about watering and going forward from there. So seed is down, and you've noticed there now that I've actually raked farrows in one way, put the seed down, then raked the other way. So what that's going to do is basically just, in a gentle sort of a way, it's going to sort of mix the sand up with the seed a little tiny bit, and just help it to sort of get a little bit of coverage. We don't need to plant this seed deep, just a little bit of sand on top to cover the surface. What we'll do in a moment now is we'll come across and we'll roll this with a water-filled plastic roller. What that's going to do is just sort of compact or push the seed and the soil tightly together, followed by some fertilising. So we'll crack on because we're nearly at the end. Okay, so we've put our seed down, we've raked it in, we've rolled over the top of it. We're time now to give this a bit of a feed, give it a bit of a kickstart in life. Now, we won't go crazy full rates with young germinating seed. We're going to go half rates, and once again, I'm using the Plant Dr. Greens and Lawn Grade Fertiliser. Now, it's a somewhat of a mini prill. It's not mini prill like some sort of proper greens grade fertilisers are, but this has always given me really good results. Now, if you are looking to try the Plant Doctor stuff, there is a code that I'll put on the bottom of the screen, which is BREN10, and that will give you 10% off your order. Now, Ben actually hasn't used the Plant Doctor stuff before, so it's going to be a new thing for him. We'll put it down now at the half rate. Obviously, then we'll water it in, and I'll leave the rest of this bag here with Ben, and he can continue to use it on this lawn throughout the season, and we'll get a bit of his opinion. He's by no means linked with Plant Doctor at all. He can have a bit of his version of events and what he thinks of the product going forward. So we'll chuck this out now, and then we'll touch on this. While this seed is establishing, we're going to be looking at watering 3 times a day. So probably somewhere around about Depending on the irrigation system, this is about 5 or 10 minutes 3 times a day.
Yep.
But we don't want it to do 2 things. We don't want it to be boggy wet,
Yep.
and we don't want it to dry out at all. So it needs to stay that happy medium
Yep.
for the next sort of 5 to 7 days.
Yep.
So you're probably going to notice germination in about 5 to 7 days as well. And you will probably find some areas will look a bit thin than other areas.
Yep.
Don't stress when you see that, it's quite normal.
Yep.
And as the plant develops and grows, it'll thicken out. That's just how the beast works. So as I said, we'll hook on now. We'll put this irrigation system on. But mate, look, we might come back in a couple of weeks in time for the first mow. Because I'm sure these guys will be pretty keen to see how this turns out.
Yep.
So we might wrap the video up here.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't yet subscribe to the channel, like it if you enjoyed this video. And mate, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You have a fantastic weekend. We'll catch you next time on the Aussie Lawn.